Here's a few news articles. The abortion bans that the red states are passing often supposedly have an exception for the life of the mother, but those things don't work. And here's the latest example of that. This woman had a condition that affects 1% of pregnancies where the placenta broke early, which is invariably fatal to the fetus and presents a huge risk of infection to the woman. Because of abortion law in Florida, however, they could not remove it, so they just sent her home with antibiotics and said they would pray for her. And of course, she had a terrible thing and nearly died and went to hospital. And it's appalling. This is the consequence of abortion bans. Even when they do have a supposed exception for the life of the mother, hospitals cannot treat the mother until she is very sick, and often it hurts them badly or kills them. So the Missouri House Republicans have been trying to block certain books from going to the library, and they were sued back by the library, demanding that they have the right to put in the books they want to put in. So now they want to defund all the state's public libraries and just close them. And there's another red state doing the same thing. So this is more and more of our current situation where the red states exhibit the most extreme crazy side of the party because they're all gerrymandered, so that the only thing that matters is a primary, not the main election. So you emphasize the extremes instead of emphasizing the middle. So the Democrats have not pushed back on the culture war stuff effectively, and the one guy that is doing it is our mayor, our governor, Newsom. He's been traveling to all these red states and very vigorously pushing democratic principles in states like Texas and Alabama and so on, in southern red states, and he's very good at this. He's been doing it for years. I remember he's one of the few Democrats that can actually strongly speak out to defend democratic positions like the freedom for women to choose an abortion and welfare and things like that. So obviously, I think the point of this is he does it both as service to the party and to set himself up for a 2028 presidential run, which would, of course, be good for us in California. If we can get our governor to be president, we'll get treated a lot better than we do under administrations that come from other states. Anyway, he is very good at this. And the Walmart is amazing at avoiding taxes. And I didn't know they'd done this, but Walmart very often gets huge tax breaks when they move into town. And in this case, not only did they do that, but apparently also Walmart has successfully argued in many towns that their property tax of their stores should be calculated as if the store was an empty lot, not a business, just its value as like empty land, which is, of course, a tiny fraction of its real value as a retail store, but they're taxed at that level. But finally, I think somewhere in Michigan, they explicitly agreed to have their store valued to like $4 million, and now they're demanding it be lowered to less than $3 million to lower their taxes. They may finally hit the limit of this. Remember Trump, when he was in office, they asked him, why don't you pay any taxes? And he said, only stupid people pay taxes. I know how the system works, and if you understand the system, you don't have to pay taxes, and that's certainly the way it is. Our current system, the poor pay, and the middle income pay, and the rich do not pay taxes, which is a very unwise way to run the system. And that's why we need Democrats to get in there who would actually raise taxes on the rich. But the Republicans lower taxes on the rich so they can get donations from the rich. And it's a racket that's working out pretty well for them so far. So I was very interested to see these numbers. I wonder how many people actually have seen gun violence. Now, I've never been threatened with a gun. I don't know anybody that's been shot with a gun. But here's the numbers. 1 in 5 Americans have been personally threatened with a gun. 19% has say a family member has been killed by a gun. And 17% have personally witnessed someone being shot. So that's an interesting number as our gun-related deaths go up, and there's quite a lot of argument now about, again, the far right determined to just have more and more guns and relax all gun control laws, and the left trying to pass gun control laws, and the left losing. So Brightline is a bank or something, some kind of financial company, and they had a data breach, I think a medical company, and they're blaming this on the third-party company Fortra, which is the company that makes Cobalt Strike. And this seems to be another consequence of their security flaws, which happened in January, where they found vulnerabilities in their remote control software and did not reveal them properly. So 160 or 130 companies got hit with ransomware, and apparently this one also got a breach coming from it, which they're blaming on their third-party Fortra. So there may be more legal consequences coming out of that. Amazon is now opening palm reading stores, where they can read your palm for biometrics, and you don't need to carry a credit card or anything. You have to enroll with your palm, and I saw one security professional on Mastodon saying, I wouldn't do it, I don't trust them. Then Mastodon has your data, or then Amazon has your paid data and might lose it. But anyway, might be convenient. I haven't tried it. If you shop at Whole Foods, it might be interesting to try it and see how it works. I've heard of this. I came across a guy doing this. There's a sovereign citizens motion from Texas, and it's a scam, but you claim to be a sovereign citizen, not a member of any state, and then you claim that you don't have to pay any taxes and you're not subject to any laws, and they can't pull you over for traffic violations or anything because you claim to not really be a member of any state. And it's a sort of cult-like political group, and the guys have been selling special license plate and telling people that you can sue any cop that pulls you over and you're immune to all traffic stops, which is not true. But I've seen a lot of people. I met a guy that was refusing to pay taxes on this kind of argument. It's pretty popular in Texas to have this stuff, where people claim to have seceded from the United States personally and be a sovereign citizen and not subject to U.S. laws. So the Ukrainian hackers say they have compromised the spy who hacked the Democrats in 2016. This is one of the many things. Trump gave a speech and he said, Russians, if you can please hack into Hillary's emails and dump them, do that. And they did that. And the Ukrainians claim they have compromised that spy and dumped out his emails. It's not very clear. It's not very technical here, and I'm not quite sure. And of course, you can't prove any of this, but it might very well be true. So they have the name of the guy, Morgachev. And anyway, it's an interesting report, and they'll probably be hearing more about it if it is verified. There is a new morning after pill to stop sexually transmitted diseases. If you take it up to 72 hours after having sex, it decreases your chance of getting things like syphilis by more than 90%. So that sounds like a beneficial thing. So Jim Jordan in Congress has opened an investigation of New York District Attorney Bragg, who is prosecuting Trump over the Stormy Daniels affair, and Bragg has now sued Jim Jordan, claiming that Congress does not have the right to obstruct justice by investigating him. So we'll see how this goes. Seems to me like he has a pretty good argument, but we'll find out. AWS may run data centers on a hydro-treated veggie oil. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, biofuel. Another thing people do now and then. And here's a similar one. Microsoft has been using evaporative coolers in Phoenix, Arizona. Evaporative coolers are where you just put a bunch of water in a wet sponge and you blow air over it and it cools that, and you can cool your data center that way. But the problem is, as you evaporate the water, you're left behind with very salty water, and that salty water has to be treated. You can't just dump it in the ground, and Microsoft has been breaking their promises and not building the treatment stations that are needed for the water. So they are promoting this as saying, to preserve the environment, they're going to quit doing it. And that's one way to put it. The local government says it's because you wouldn't build your equipment properly to treat the water. But anyway, they're abandoning it. And Florida, having banned discussions of gay and transsexual stuff in school, is now trying to ban students from discussing menstruation, even up to an age where they are menstruating. They're not allowed to mention it because that's considered a discussion of sex in school. So, they just keep pushing further and further and further to the crazy right. And there seems to be nothing to stop this yet. Although, it is possible that they will begin to lose more elections over the complete ban on abortion. That's a really unpopular position. And I'm also quite heartened to see the recent polls showing Donald Trump's support has fallen to 25%. So apparently the indictments are actually hurting him. And so at some point, the nation will swerve so far to the right that some pressure will move it back towards the center, and we may be hitting that point. We'll see. So this is particle physics, which I got a PhD in physics, and I learned a little bit of particle physics. It wasn't my specialty. But one thing that struck me at the time, which is still true, is we have no idea why the universe is here at all, because all the laws of fundamental particles are symmetric, and therefore the Big Bang should have created equal amounts of matter and antimatter, which would have just annihilated, and there would be nothing here. No stars, no galaxies, no planets, no nothing. There must be some intrinsic asymmetry in the universe, but they've been hunting for many years and they have not found it. And one candidate is that the electron would have an asymmetric structure that would cause it to have some electromagnetic dipole moment, And they've been measuring it to incredible precision, and the latest measurement, again, finds that there is no sign of a dipole moment. So the electron seems to be perfectly round in space, and therefore there is not a hidden particle hidden there. We have been searching for decades for a particle or an interaction that is asymmetric to the extent that would explain why something like the Big Bang would create more matter than antimatter, and we have not found it. So it's amazing what we don't know. This and dark matter show that our models of the universe are lacking some big things. Anyway, that's it for the news.